Welcome to another episode of In the Kitchen with Sandy. God, it seems like it's been forever since I've been in my kitchen filming a video for you guys, but I'm very happy to be back. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. I hope you got everything that your little heart desired. I know I sure did. And with everything, all the good foods that I have, today I was ready for something very hearty and very delicious. I don't know what to say. This just hits the spot. When I thought of heartiness and something to fill my tummy, full of flavor, I decided I wanted to make beef and noodles, and I wanted to share this recipe with you because it's a really good recipe. My mother used to make beef and noodles all the time, and you know, just don't get any more homier, home-cooked meals than beef and noodles, and I think you're really going to enjoy this. So the first thing that we're going to be using, let's go over what we're going to be using. I've got just a beef chuck roast, a very small one here. So I've got the beef chuck roast here. We're also, and I make sure that you bring this to room temperature. You don't ever want to cook meat straight out of the refrigerator because it's not good. It gets really tough, and you want to make sure that you get the meat that has a lot of the marbling in it because that makes it a lot more tender. And I think I left a piece of the paper wrapping on there. No, that's meat. Okay. Anyway, okay, and also we're going to use some chopped garlic here, and I've got some beef bouillon cubes and a little bit of rosemary, and this time I was smart and I unwrapped them before we started filming, so we didn't have to use 10 extra minutes for me just trying to get those little things unwrapped. You got some butter here, a little bit of crushed red pepper because I like a little bit of the bite to it, some just roughly chopped onions, and here you have some meat tenderizer and some garlic powder. And then these are just some roughly chopped button type mushrooms, a little bit of flour, and then in here we have some beef stock and just a little bit of water. And I will give you the exact measurements on inthekitchenwithsandy.blogspot.com, and there's other recipes there. You're gonna love them, so make sure you visit my site. And I also have some extra virgin olive oil, some salt and pepper, and I'm just tickled to death over my new. I'm just so tickled. This was a present, and I'm tickled with these because my other one was like trashed. I'm using fettuccine noodles. I mean, some people use the egg noodles. I like to use the fettuccine noodles because they hold the sauce better, and I like to slurp them. And this is just what I prefer to use. Now, if you have any, you can use any type of noodles you want. You can even make this and put it over rice if you'd like. But the fettuccine is what I'm going with today. And I have a little bit of wine that I'm going to use just to deglaze. This is all that's left over from Christmas. I'm going to just deglaze my pan with it. To my pan, I've already had it heating up a little bit. I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil because we are going to just brown this on both sides. And then we're going to go ahead and season our meat. We're going to put our tenderizer on there on both sides. I like to use tenderizer because I like it to be tender. And we're not going to use all of our garlic powder because we're going to save some of it for our mushrooms. Just sprinkle that right on there. Right down in there. You hear that? That's what you want to hear. You want to sear it real good. Go ahead and add some fresh ground pepper. And look at that pepper pour right out of there. I like it. And then you're going to go ahead and throw in your chopped garlic. On one side, it's about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. I'm just going to flip it right on over. Oh, look at that already. Look at the caramelization. Blah, blah, blah. And the garlic's just going to infuse in the olive oil. Wonderful. And I've got this on medium-high heat. And I am trying to stay back. Because if I get some of that grease splattered on this new shirt, I'm going to be pissed. Throw my onions in there because we're going to add a little broth in there. We're going to add just enough to cover this baby. Oh, that little bit of olive oil that's down in there is just infusing with all that garlic. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add, we're not going to use all of this. We're going to add just enough to pretty much come just about to the top of it because we're going to use the rest of this. Now we're going to bring this back up to a boil. Let me go ahead and add just a pinch of salt. Not a whole lot because your beef broth has already got some salt in it. And once this starts boiling, which is going to take no time at all, we're going to cover this. And I don't have a lid big enough to cover this. So I'm going to take some foil. You can either take a cookie sheet or some foil. Make your own lid. And we're just going to simmer this. We're going to simmer this for probably about an hour. Maybe less. I'll let you know when it gets there. We're going to turn it down and just let it simmer and just cover it. Be careful, watch the little fingers. And then we will come back, and after this is done cooking, and we'll get started on the rest of it. And it's going to be tasty. Okay, I forgot to tell you, go ahead and throw your little sprig of rosemary in there, and you're going to want to keep it whole. I'm not chopping it up because in here I like to just put the whole little sprig in there. Just pop it right in there. Oh, it smells amazing. Okay, now we'll come back when it's ready. Okay, my chuck roast cooked in the liquids for about 45 minutes. I tested it with my fork, just poked it down in there, and that's how you know if it's done, because it's nice and tender, you know, if it don't make resistance. What I've done is I just stuck it on my cutting board and I've sliced it up. I mean, you can do it however size you want. I just done it bite size. So we've removed that, and I've also removed the broth. And now is a good time to taste your broth to see if there's if it needs any salt. And if it does, then that way you can add it to your remaining ingredients, because we're just going to combine them. And then it's going to need some salt. So we're going to add a little bit of extra salt into our pan. So what we're going to do now is we're bringing this back up to temperature, and we're going to add our butter. And we're going to let this melt. This is a rich dish. Lots of butter, lots of butter. And then we're going to add our, I don't know why I always want to call everything tomatoes. So we're going to add our mushrooms. And we're just going to saute those up. Now, we didn't do them earlier. We didn't cook them with the meat because I didn't want them to disintegrate. I still wanted to have a bite to them. So, and then I'm going to hit this with just a little bit of, I didn't add this in with my other ingredients, but I'm going to hit it with a little bit of garlic salt. Not just there, that's my version of a little bit. How's that? And then we're not going to add the extra salt because I added garlic salt because I like garlic. And we're just going to give these a stir. And you're just going to saute these just for a couple minutes. I mean, you're not too long, just for a couple minutes. And you're going to go ahead and add your remaining garlic powder. Yeah, it's garlicky. Gotta keep them vampires away. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of wine. Now you can omit this. You do not have to use wine if you don't want to. Just a little bit, just to deglaze the bottom of the pan. Not a whole lot. You know, if you're cooking this for your kids or your grandma, no worries. Ain't nobody gonna be intoxicated on just a little drink of wine. Just get that mixed together. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and add my flour. This is gonna thicken it. And you're just gonna put, you don't want it thick like gravy, so that's not what we're going for. Just a couple tablespoons of flour. You just want it to thicken on your noodles. Whoops, spilling it everywhere. And you do this first because if you add it to the liquid, then it's just going to ball up, and it's not good. But you see how it's coating to the mushrooms real well, and it's kind of thickening up there. So when we pour our broth in there, it's going to create a nice thick sauce. Not too thick, but not too thin. Just long enough to cook the flour in there, and then we're going to add the juice that you drained out. Pour it right in there. Give it a stir. Oh, look how rich that is. And by the way, the alcohol from the wine, it's dissipated, it's gone. No worries. Look at that. See how that's thickening up nicely? And then you're just going to give that a stir. You're just going to let this cook maybe for about 3 or 4 minutes, and we're still waiting on our water to boil, but no worries, we can take this off the stove. And you go ahead and put your beef broth cubes in there. My noodles are done. I cooked them al dente about 9 to 10 minutes, and they're perfect. And make sure you salt your water. Always salt your pasta water when you're cooking your pasta. This is reduced down, and I've let this cook the entire time I was cooking my noodles, so it kind of worked out perfectly. Look at the thickness that it got. It didn't get too thick, and it's definitely not too thin. It's just perfect, and it's just going to adhere to those noodles perfectly. So what we're going to do is, now's a good time to throw your meat back in there. And you could do this, whoops, guess the dog gets a piece. She's going to bait me for it. Okay, and just stir that around. We're going to heat that meat back up. And then your red pepper flakes. Go ahead and throw those in. Ooh, I think I got too many in the bowl there. This is just going to give it a nice little bite. I'm not putting all those in there because my kids are eating those. Give it a stir. Let the meat heat for just a minute. And then we're just going to add your pasta right in there. Oh, that's gorgeous. Okay. Now, it's nice and drained, and if you're wondering, can you do this in a crock pot? Absolutely. Just toss that right in there. Yummy, yummy. If you do decide to do it in a crock pot, just throw everything in your crock pot, not your noodles, and then just set it and let it go. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. This is delicious. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off because we're just kind of getting everything right around there. Look at that. Now, if this definitely screams hearty meal. Delicious. Make you some nice peas with it. You'll be in there. And then, of course, you gotta put some nice little color to it. Needs a little color. And that's it. Perfect. And then we are gonna serve this up. Look at that. Look how beautiful the mushrooms. Oh my goodness. Now, you know I've got to give this a try. And as it gets cold, it gets cooler, the sauce will thicken even more. So this is amazing. This is delicious. You're gonna really like this. I promise you. Now I've got to get me a fork. Look at that. Look how pretty that is. Ooh, the mushroom. Give me a bite of mushrooms first. It's rich. Because that butter. Oh my goodness, this is so good. It's really hot. Sometimes I amaze myself sometimes when I put this stuff together. This is good. You're going to love this. I guarantee you. Make sure you make this. You can get the full written recipe at inthekitchenwithsandy.blogspot.com. You can find other recipes there, many more to come. Make sure you try this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye. They're called tomatoes.
Should have gave you the automatic wine opener.
Should have gave me the automatic wine opener.